Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And today, the topic that I wanted to talk to you about was if you want to give yourself some more energy, if you've been feeling a bit down and a bit sluggish, it's been too hot and, whatever it may be, if you want to give yourself a lift, I really recommend that you try something new. For example, I've got fruit ice cubes inside my water. Mm, totally new. And why is that new for me? That is because I got myself a new gizmo this week that I wanted. Whenever I want to improve my health in some way, I buy myself a health gizmo. And what I got myself was a juicer, but one of those ones that's not big, noisy, and everything else, but it just masticates down. And it throws the pulp out one side and the juice out of the other. And you're wondering, well, why get rid of the pulp, Sal? Because that's good for you. It's good fiber. Well, too much is not good for you, too much fiber. So it's about finding a happy balance. And I eat a lot of fruit and vegetables anyway. So I found that I've been drinking far more um, juices, and they're keeping me sustained. Magical things for those of you who've been uh, trying to update on my health stuff. I am amazed that I managed to lose weight, even though I'm swollen up because I'm retaining water because of the heat. Isn't that amazing? I'm still losing weight. Hi there to Jeannie. Jeannie is one of our admins, and I really appreciate the fact you're here. And I'm about to talk about your new thing this week, Jeannie, as I will do about Jodie's when Jodie gets here. So it's a really important thing to know that when you try something new, you will get all sorts of amazing energy. I know that, for example, Jeannie this week got herself a new puppy called Stella, and it's a Wheaten Terrier, and she loves Wheaten Terriers. And I am pretty sure, Jeannie, that you've been out walking more than normal. I am pretty sure that you have laughed more this week. I am pretty sure that you have almost cried more this week. Um, but I also, yeah, you definitely has done more walking, yeah. And I'm also pretty sure that you have felt loved again. And when I say loved again, I mean, you've always been loved, but it's like you've got fresh doses of love coming your way. And that gives anybody energy. So I just had to smile when I heard that Stella was coming into your life. She's what, 6, did you tell me, Jeannie? I think you said 6. And I did put up a picture on the Facebook page for those of you who might have missed it. Let me just see if I've got it close by. Um, or fairly close by. They got it here? Yeah, I thought it was in this one. It must be on my other. Sorry about that. It's not on this one, but it's on the Facebook page, Dear Mama Sal Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it there. So the quote that I wanted to give you, and I think it is wonderful, is never be afraid to try something new, because life gets boring when you stay within the limits of what you already know. When you stay within the limits of what you already know. So, Jeannie was in this little box and she was comfortable, but it was just like, no, she needed a woofie. I totally understand that. So Jeannie's telling me that Stella is afraid of thunder. So she's cuddled near me when the thunder arrives. We discovered she's only 4. Wow. So isn't that wonderful? So you've got more years with her. What is the average life of a Wheaten Terrier? I have no idea. Um, I would think because it's a mid-sized dog, isn't it? It's not a small dog, it's a medium-sized dog. So they're inclined to last a little longer, I think. Anyway, let me know what the normal lifespan. I know that, it can be different depending on what's going on. Yeah, she's saying Darby was over 14 when he died. And so, you know, you look at it and you go, if she is only 4, you hopefully have got, a decade of love coming your way. Isn't that wonderful? So I am very, very happy. But in order to get that joy, can you also see that Jeannie needed to take some risks? She had to deal with people she didn't know. She had to. I was concerned in case there was an exchange of money. Hi there, Jody. Well done. And Jody's just joined us. So Jody is our admin, and anyway, so Stella is going to be bringing all sorts of joy and energy to Jeannie because it's new in her life. All right. So to me, that is really fascinating. And I was saying that when Jody arrives, I'll talk about her new as well. Jody has yesterday got delivery of not that one, but her own air fryer. Now, she's probably been thinking about it ever since I got my big one. Um, and then thought, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, whatever. But I can bet you that Jody found more energy in the last few hours or 24 hours than she's had in a long time. Am I correct on that? You know, because Lionel's wanted one for years, yes. And so you waited until the price was right and then you got it. How smart is that? So, the thing is, though, I know that you will be struggling to find time away from doing research on what recipes you can do and how you can cook. I assure you that once you've done your fries in there, you will wonder why we ever deep fried food. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. So when you try something new, it gives you this incredible burst of energy. How many of you remember when I made one of these? And if you look very carefully, it almost looks crocheted. And it's so funny because I was trying to explain it to Yvonne. And I said, some people just make soap. Me, I play with original design, if you know what I mean. And it's really interesting to me because it gives me energy to sort of, how can I do this? All right. Now, we started, you remember, a month ago when we made our first bar of shampoo soap. Now, I want to tell you that I didn't even let mine harden up. I used mine immediately so it didn't get a chance to harden. And I've just about used the whole thing in a month. Body, hair, you name it. No conditioner needed. All the butters and everything in here is so good. It's just like, I cannot believe that it was such a short time ago that I started all this. So very interesting. Now this week, I've been playing with packaging. All right, so now you're going to see the different sorts of packaging that I've been playing with. You will remember that we started off with a box, and you all loved the boxes. And I probably still, no, it's a bit too, I may still do some soaps in here this way. But here's what I discovered. If they're going to be mailed, I probably will put them in boxes rather than the way that they're mailed, done for local. This is, how many of you remember when I did the loaf of sea breeze? This is now the sea breeze with its own special sticker and its own packaging, and that's original art that Sal did that I'm using for the packaging. So we're definitely getting there, and that's exciting. You like the packaging? See, what I like about it is you can see the top, you can see the sides. However, with this packaging, you can't see the front. And the interesting thing is that the Sea Breeze has really interesting stuff going on. So here's what we did. All right. I then how can I best show you? Okay. How do you like this one? This one has got a window in it, so you can see the soap. Okay. All right. Now it hasn't got the tag on it yet because I haven't designed that yet. I'm in the process of the lavender on this one. So you like the window? Yes. And that's what I found when Ciora was here on Thursday. She was saying, love the packaging, but sort of would like to be able to see it. So I went, wait a minute, I can do that. I can. So how much time have I spent at my die cutting machine trying to work out how do I do this? But here you can see the side, you can see the front, you can see the top. All right. And it's cute. Now we tried it with ribbon and we tried it with twine, and almost everybody liked the ribbon best. So, in terms of making it look good. So then, oh, how many of you remember that we did a loaf that had roses on it? Can you remember that one? And I had to cancel a couple of broadcasts, so you never got to see me cut it. So this is what it looked like when I cut it. So I called this one Rose Quartz. There will never be another one like it. So, isn't that beautiful? And it's all a learning process. And so what I did, and I'm still in the process, I think I like the round tags better than the square ones. What about you guys? Anyway, so this has got fancy packaging on it. Beth is saying if I like the scent, I would probably throw one in my underwear drawer so it would smell nice. Exactly why we do this stuff, right? So this one, but then you'd probably want it in a box. How kind of you, Jeannie. Jeannie's saying, let's face it, you're an artist no matter what the medium. Yeah, I like the round tags as well. I don't know, it just looks better. But like all things in life, you actually need to try both to be able to see. Right? So this to me looks much more together, if you like. Now, I found out from, you remember Kelly and Sue, that's whose daddy died recently. She was, no, wrong person. My mentor for the drug that I was taking for the anti-cancer thing, her daughter did soaps, and she said, did you know that you have to have all sorts of legal stuff on your soaps to be able to sell it in America? I said, nope, but it's interesting to know because I now do. But so that's another thing that's going on this week. So what I found out was I started off making them like this, but I liked the open with the top just level better. Okay. So that's that. And then this is the rosemary and honey. Okay. So when you look at it, you can see the beeswax, you can see the rosemary, and you can see the bees. And again, this one has got a round tag on it. So And I like that. Now, funny enough, uh, Yvonne came to visit me yesterday. She loved the bees. She said, "Did you make packaging with bees on it for the beeswax?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Only you, so." So that was fun. And now these, you remember, I don't know if you remember me making these squares that are almost like marble. This is the beginning of my work, um, where I am trying to incorporate my artwork onto soap. That's the long-term goal. And this was when I just played with it a bit. Um, but I found the perfect package this week. All right. And this will hold for 8 soaps like that. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I love the bees also. So good for the skin. I want to tell you that all of the soaps that I'm making are good for the skin. They've got a lot of good stuff in them, shea butter and goat's milk and stuff. So this one, I like the fact that 8 would fit into that, right? And very useful. Oh, oh, put that there. Hold on 1 second. Yvonne was carried away with the fact that I made some guest soap bowls. And this was from Sea Breeze. And the reason that I did is because when you make a loaf, you cut off the 2 ends. And the question is, what do you do with those 2 ends? Because they're, as you're going to see, they're very different from the inside. And so what I did was with that lot, I just mushed them up and then made little balls with them. And uh, they're all full of exactly the same soap. They just don't look the same. And then what I saw is that some soap manufacturing people are selling the ends at a discount price, like £1 at a time. And it's all ends, so they're all different flavors and all different fragrances, and all different colors and everything else, because you're just getting the ends. All right, so don't you think it's fun? But it's not nearly as much fun as what I learned to do this week. This is another Sea Breeze. And this week, look what I made. How cute is that? I know. It's like, Yvonne said to me, "Where did you get the shells?" I said, "I made them." I know. And I said, "Yvonne, some people make soap. I'm not a soap maker. What I am is a creator of unbelievable." Now, how many of you want to see me cut this one? Now, this is always the take a very deep breath moment. It's a bit like Jody turning on an air fryer and learning that always keep a fan on when you turn your air fryer on if it hasn't got a good smoke detector on it or smoke excluder on it. Okay, so here's what I've done. So first of all, I'm going to turn it on its side. because I can't really turn it upside down. It's awfully scary. Come on now. Be nice. Yeah. So that is, those are the layers. Now this little bit sandy sort of colored layer, that's got what do you call it? Exfoliating bits in it. Now the question is, can I get this into the cutter so we can see? This basically normally would stay for another couple of days, quite honestly, but you know me, I'm not patient. We can do this, right? Or would you rather I didn't cut it? Okay, so the trick is to get that into here. Just the bottom bit that's a little tacky. All right. Now I remember. Here's the problem. When I do it in the red things, that it's too wide. I have to put it on its side. I've forgotten that. And with the shells, just do it. Okay, here we go. Where am I going to put it when I cut it? That is the question. Hold on a second, people. I've got to have somewhere to put it when I cut it. Now, we don't have smell TV yet. I mean, but this is eucalyptus, this one. But I want to just take a small amount to start with. Take the end off. Are we ready? So, what do you think? Awesome. Now, this is why it's an end. We'll go back on. But that doesn't do that with all of them. So now I'm going to push it forward for an inch. So, wipe the blade. Pray. The seashells did not like that. It came off. It's going to need another couple of days, people. Because the sea foam is coming off. It's that bottom layer is still very soapy. Can you see that? So I'm not going to try and cut anymore. I'm just going to leave it. Yes, many people will like the end pieces, no doubt about it. Um, all right, because I don't want to ruin it, I'm just going to leave this for a few more days before I cut the rest of it. I'm sure you agree with me. It won't go to waste. I want to get it out of here. And I think especially with the seashells on it. All right, so the question is, how many bars does one batch yield? Depends which one it's in. If it's in there, I think this one does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ends. If I do it in the official mold, it does 9, but they're smaller. So these are what I call the kick-ass ones. Now, how many of you are crying because of what went wrong? Anybody? It is sad, but it's not the end of the world, okay? Because it appears that when I cut it, it is trying to cut through the shells is causing this. So now that we know that with this batch, I now know make it, cut it, and then add the shells. Makes sense. I've learned that now. I wouldn't have learned it if I hadn't done it this way. But I'm getting really good with the sea foam now. I've learned how to do that, and I'm quite happy. So all I will do is I will probably take the sea foam off here, all right, and then do it again. And all this soap I can reuse it. And I will just, it's all a learning process. But isn't it beautiful? I mean, the thing is not to get away from just how beautiful the soap is. Now, if that doesn't remind you of the beach, I don't know what will. Now then, got to tell you about when Yvonne was here. Yvonne, Jody's saying that hands down is the prettiest bar of soap I've ever seen. Okay, but I've got to show you. When I was talking to Yvonne yesterday, while I was talking to her, I saw an image in my head and I went, oh my gosh, I've got the answers. But hold on, I need to be able to show you. So you remember, hard to believe it's soap, but it is. But what I didn't like about it is that it's actually quite small, which is fine for hand soap, but it is so beautiful. It deserves to be a bigger soap, in my view. So I said to Yvonne, I need to come up with a way to make it into a bigger soap. And then while I was talking to her, I thought, I know what to do. So this is the size of a regular bar of soap. So can you imagine if I drop it in there, right? So actually I put a layer of white down to start with. Then I drop this in. And then put a complete layer of white around it. Can you see what I'm trying to show you here? So in other words, to make a white picture frame around it. Or gold. Now, I've never seen that done, but I know I can do it because I want to. And I won't quit until I've done it. You know that. So then I can turn these little bars of soap into a substantial bar of soap. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. I was expecting somebody to deliver something and I didn't want it sitting out um, for people to take it. So did you all understand how that works? Maybe if I did it that way. Perfect. So it would end up being like that. How cute is that? I just think it's so cute. I'm very excited. So that's going to be what I'm working on this week. And I am pleased to say that, well, I'm hoping it's unique. Now, of course, that led to my next question. Yeah, because I'm always thinking of things to do for Doug, who is, hates presents. But, I always give him presents anyway. What does it say here? So just try new things. Don't be afraid. Step out of your comfort zones and soar. All right? So that's it. Now then, here's what I thought. Have any of you seen the Kenyan flag? If so, why don't I show you rather than talk about it? Have I got it in here yet? Did I put it in here? Anyway, the Kenyan flag here we go. This is the Kenyan flag. How many of you can know that I am now very excited? One layer of green soap, a thin layer of white soap, a layer of red soap, white soap, black soap. And I said to Yvonne, what about the shield that is the center of the flag? I said, there's no way I can do that, and I haven't got a mold of it. And she said, no. She said, once you've made it and wrapped it, stick that over the top of the soap. Just the complete thing. So you can see how my mind was working. I'm going, I can pour that. Of course, the trick is to get the colors right, or roughly right. So, that's the next thing, and that's exciting. It's like Jody looking up recipes, right? So I started, I know it's a great idea. And what if I do the French colors for Manon? Yeah, no, she'd want the sea breeze one, I know that. Anyway, so here we go. So now I found out what the official colors are called, and I've also found out roughly what the percentage of color is in them. So this green is called Spanish green, and it has a particular recipe. And the red is called Vivid Auburn. You like auburn hair? It's called Vivid Auburn. Black's black. Now, do you think I will have a problem or two along the way? Absolutely. But is it still, can you imagine if I could do it? You see, that, and what Yvonne said to me was, she said, Sal, the difference between you and other people is you are constantly going, yeah, I can do that. But what if I, you're always on to the next thing. And so you all know that this gets packaged in a cupcake holder because it's a cupcake, isn't it? Now, wouldn't you want to put that in a drawer? Now, you wouldn't want to hide it, would you? See, that's the thing. And it's interesting. What I'm watching is people's reactions when they see the soap. And I've got an issue because I've sealed a lot of the soaps for shipping, because I'm not allowed to send soap that isn't sealed up in shrink wrap. I've learned how to shrink wrap. Very exciting. So hang on a second. But what I realize is when I seal it, obviously I've sealed in the fragrances. Allergies season. So I've sealed in the fragrances. And that's not a good thing. So then I've now what I've got to do is not seal them unless I'm shipping them, instead of just sealing everything. I must admit, it's nice when they're sealed because they're a lot more stable. You know what I mean? When they're sealed, I know I'm not going to chip it or mess with it. So do you want to know how to do this? So it's really very easier than I thought. You actually buy shrink wrap plastic. Well, that was my first thought until I worked out I don't have to buy it ever again. And I'm going to let you know why that is so. So you get something, let me show you. I've got something in my eye that probably is soap. Okay, so here's shrink wrap stuff. Okay, now all you need is this stuff and a heat gun. Now a hairdryer will do it, but not as well. A heat gun is hotter than a hairdryer. So what you do is you drop the soap in there. Now I've got a sealer machine, so that just happened to have it for food. But so you can seal it like this, first of all, right, to stop the waste of plastic. But then you just turn your heat gun on and you go, and you go, So you do all around the 4 sides, front and back, and it's totally sealed. Like that. How about that? So here again, I'm sitting here thinking, I need to get quite a bit of shrink wrap, obviously. And I went, wait a minute. Hang on 1 second. Looks professionally done. I thought so too, Jody. So I'm sitting there thinking about the amount I got to spend on shrink wrap, and I went, wait a minute. Maybe I don't have to spend a cent on shrink wrap. Anybody work out why? Because Mr. Bezos sells me an awful lot like this. So now I can put that in my welding machine. I've got a sealing machine, so I can get it roughly the right size. Shrink wrap it for free. You got to admit, way cool. And how much of this do I have come into the house every week? Now, I found something else this week. As you can imagine, I get quite a lot of these coming into my house. And it upsets me because I want to be able to recycle, reuse, all right? And I'm going, well, I can't reuse it because it's got Amazon printed all over it. And then, being who I am, I said, is there any way, this is how my mind works, is there any way, because they only print on the outside, right? There's nothing printed on the inside. It's only on the outside layer. So I'm going, is there any way that you can take off that outside layer? Do that and it doesn't do it very well. Okay. So that was my first idea. Then I went, what if I wet the top? Just enough so that the top layer is wet. Can I get it off then? So now, how many of you know I've now got free packaging? Is anybody other than me impressed with it? Now we know it's going to be in a box anyway, but if I need, it's corrugated as well. All right, so it's just extra protection. And what I thought was, if I'm putting them into boxes, I may need to fill some spaces in boxes. And now I've got whatever size I want, I can just roll it up. Yeah, Jodie's just smiling, right? This is MacGyver, she's going. But imagine how excited I was when I found out I could do it. Now, I know that some of you will say, for the amount of time it takes, isn't it easier just to buy the stuff? Probably. But when you're on a budget, is it worth doing? Yes. And did it take a long time? No. Once I got the idea, it didn't take very long at all. Basically, I just took a sponge and I, just dampened it all down, not too wet, because you don't want it going through all the other layers, and then left it for about 5 minutes, and then it came off fairly easily, not perfectly easy, had to put a bit of effort into it. And then some bits stuck, and then I found, because you know I would, some bits stuck. And so what I found was that the bamboo stick is perfect for just running underneath it, and it lifts it right off. And it worked really well. I thought I'd show you this for any of you who might be looking for packaging for Christmas time. All right? So that, with a ribbon around it, what do you think? And if you want to make it into a parcel, you would just cut. See if I can do this freehand. Okay, so if you just, I clip these two bits here, like that, and these two bits here, and then I'd obviously score along here, and then you could just make it into an absolute parcel. So, and who doesn't like homemade wrapping? So that's why I thought I would share it with you. Pretty darn exciting stuff. So Jody has already cooked spring rolls. Was it, Jody, that you cooked with your air fryer? The reason that I'm mentioning this is because I am pretty certain Jody and Lionel are going to find all sorts of time and all sorts of energy that they didn't have last week to play with their new gizmo. Oh, I got a second gizmo. Oh, you've made mac and cheese egg rolls and chicken wings. How good is that? Mac and cheese egg rolls. Really? That's a new one on me. Now, what I did, for those of you who, because I'm not doing any cooking during the summer because it's too hot in here. By the way, it's already 86.5 in the kitchen at the moment. What I did, you might want to try this. I had some leftover mashed potato and obviously some leftover vegetables at the end of the week. So I put all the vegetables into the blender and just blipped it a couple of times. Do you know what I mean? Until it shredded it all up. Actually, it wasn't in my blender, it was in my food processor. But I had the metal blade in there. That's what I use for dough. So I had the metal blade in there, and I just pressed the button a few times until it just shredded everything up. Then I put a plastic bag, one of those ones you get your fruit in from the store. This is rather than buy plastic gloves, I do this. Okay, so I took a plastic bag, and then I took the mush of all. Oh no! First of all, I then combined the mush that I had blended and the leftover mashed potato. Okay, and then I took a handful, sort of made it roughly into a patty, and then I threw it into breadcrumbs, which I recycle my bread. So, and then, Jody, I turned it into pancakes like this. And I put that pancake into the air fryer with a spritz of oil, literally, and baked it till it was crispy. And I want to tell you, I made 4. I have eaten all 4 of them because I've used them instead of toast. So it's like a fried egg on one of those is so tasty. And it's crunchy, and you're getting vegetables, and it's just like, why did I think of this before? And it's just such a good use of leftover vegetables at the end of the week. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again. Yeah, Jody, I thought you would. And again, I probably used about a cup of potato, maybe a little bit more, but for four big, big size like this pancakes. Most of it was vegetable. And what did I put in? I put leeks and carrots and peppers, celery, you name it. Hucked it all in, pressed the button. Definitely a do-over. And I thought I'd share it with you guys in case any of you would like to try it. But the trick is once you've got it, then roll it in the breadcrumbs, all right? And I have two different sorts of breadcrumbs. These are sort of bigger ones that I do. I do some bigger and some finer. And I like having that mix of both. So the finer one absorbs any moisture to the outside, and then the bigger ones are the Kentucky Fried Chicken bits, as I call them, the crunchy bits. So I definitely want to tell you that having two of those with two fried eggs, one fried egg on each, was a complete meal for me. I had it twice this week for dinner. Not for breakfast, for dinner. And I did not feel hungry. So why is that, Jody? The egg is protein, I understand that, but why was I not hungry after eating those? Because I would have thought I would have been, but I wasn't. Mind you, I was also drinking good stuff. So there you go. Energy. So Jody, I want you to be aware of how much energy Lionel suddenly has for fun stuff. How much energy you suddenly have for the fun stuff. Oh, Jody's thinking it's the egg is the protein and the fiber of the vegetables. So the mixture of those two. And although there's some mashed potato in there, it's not a whole lot. So pretty darn good, huh? So it's been a very creative week for me. I'm sorry that I canceled on Friday. There was very good reason. Number one, it's really hot. But number two, I knew that Jody was due to have some work done in her place on Friday. And then I also knew that Jeannie had just got her little puppy, 4-year-old puppy. And, to me, I don't like to do a broadcast with her. And I knew that the chances were, I didn't want to impose on either of my admins to stop what they were doing. It was very exciting stuff. So I thought, it's the summer. I'm just going to not do the broadcast. And I was busy anyway, so that was fine. I thought I would let you know that I don't know if you've noticed it, but Yvonne said, Sal, everything about you since you stopped taking that drug has changed. Your voice tone has changed. Your excitement levels have changed. You didn't have any before. You got a spark back in your eyes. It's just like, she said, you just need to know. I said, well, what I've noticed in 2 weeks, what I've noticed is that I am waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I want to get up and do things. I've noticed that I'm doing 6,000 steps a day without making time to do exercise. You know what I mean? I'm doing it naturally because I'm going backwards and forwards doing stuff. 6,000 steps a day. I had to work at it when I was on that pill because there's no way, because when I was on that pill, I had to sit down every 20 minutes or so. Yeah, that Jenny, that's Yvonne said, Sal, it is so noticeable. Yeah, change has been dramatic. That's what Yvonne said. She said, it is that's exactly what she said. It's a dramatic change. And I said, well, that's important for me to tell them that it's, she said it's like night and day. I haven't tried to walk down to the post box to see if I can get there and back any more easily. I'll do that this week coming now. And I've noted that I've got the new drug. Shall we open it up and see what it looks? Shall we see if it looks scary as the other one did? Yeah, let's do that. Hang on. If I leave that down there, I'll probably slip and fall, and then you'll all be upset. Okay, so for those of you who might be watching here and not know what's going on, I had a mastectomy back in November. And after the mastectomy was all done, in January, they asked me to take a drug. They asked me to take a drug that basically would kill off any estrogen in my body. So any estrogen that was being produced in my body would be nuked. And the reason for that is the sort of cancer I have feeds off estrogen, right? So just so you know. And yeah, it has this. How do I do this so I don't keep my security, I guess? Can you see the note there? Hazardous drug. Handle properly. That's, it's scary to get. I'm not as scared as I was when I got the first one. So the contraindications of this are the same as the other one. You know what I mean? If you read the list, it's basically the same thing. However, what I heard from my mentor, was that the reason that they are the same but they're not the same is because of the fillers that are in there. So you got little granules in there that are the nuking stuff that nuke the estrogen, but then they put fillers in there, all right? And it's depending what the fillers are, it will affect you differently. So my mentor says that she is on this one that I've now got, and she said she said she doesn't notice it worth a damn, really. So we're hoping and praying that it'll be much easier on my body, and we won't know. So I will start that on August the 28th. Now, here is the thing. Excuse me a second. It's getting really toasty here. Up to 87 now. Here's the thing, that if I react badly to the second one as well, I've got a choice again. There's a third option, which I may or may not try, or I can choose not to take any drug at all. So, one step at a time. We'll think about that. I've noticed that they're calling me back sooner. I think they were concerned that I waited a full 6 months to tell them how bad that other drug was for me. And I said, I kept waiting for it to, for my body to get used to it, and that things would go back a little bit. But it didn't. It got worse. So, a bit scary. But Jody, I keep thinking about how many really nasty drugs you must be on, and that each of them must have their input on your health and your mental health. And yet you seem to manage to cope pretty darn well. I know because you don't have a choice, you have to cope. I understand that. But, it's like, hopefully I can find a happy medium. I can take the drug or a drug, but it won't have quite such bad side effects for me. I said to them, for me, it has severely affected my quality of life. if I can't get down to the post box, um, if I, I didn't mind the hot sweats. I've been through menopause. That didn't worry me as much. It was the effect on the not being able to walk properly, and then the mind fog. Jody, you've talked to me about that brain fog for as long as I've known you. And I want to tell you that I thought I understood what that must be like until I got it. Now I do understand. All right. It's difficult to describe, isn't it? And what I was telling them was, yeah, Jody's saying it was stealing your energy and it broke my heart. Yeah, it broke my heart too. Okay, so I tried to describe that to people. I said, it's like, normally, my mind goes, you've watched my mind for 10 years, people. I see one thing and it triggers another idea, which triggers another idea, and that's how I get my jollies, right? Um, so when I was on that drug, I struggled. I struggled for the first idea. It'd probably take me a day to come up with the first idea, and I would not have a second idea. So it can, if you like, and that's what I said. It felt like it shut down my creativity, and one of my sort of pegs on which I stand is my creativity. So you cut down my creativity by that much, then I don't get excited anymore. If I don't get excited anymore, then you understand that will affect my mental health. And I said to the oncologist, I said, but I need you to know, I am somebody that has experienced depression, and I know about it, and I know how it sucks you in if you don't keep an eye out for it. And if you don't do something, like something new, all right, it's really good if you're feeling depressed, do something new. And I said, I worked hard to hold on to my mental health. And I said, and that was the one thing. I know what it feels like to be depressed. And I kept checking in, going, are you sucked into the vortex, or are you just holding on by, your fingernails, however long they are you holding on by your fingernails not to go into that vortex? And I was. But I believe that I stayed out for the most part. Jody's saying, I want to applaud the fact that you never gave up, Sol, even on the most challenging days. Well, funnily enough, I find it interesting that what the page turner was for them was that I had to cancel broadcasts. That to them was significant because they know that that's part of my life. Yeah, and they said, why? And I said, because I didn't have enough brain power to put a broadcast together. It was overwhelming for me. Some days I couldn't do it, even if, and I wanted to, believe you me, I wanted to, but I just didn't have the brain power to be able to do it. And it was just like, I couldn't put all those ducks in a row and come up with a beginning, middle, and end. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, I just couldn't do it. Not that I didn't want to. So when you look at these things, we all do the best we can with what we've got. Roy T. Bennett said, to learn something new, you need to try new things and not be afraid to be wrong. You understand? How many of you will look at this? Look at this and go, that's tragic. Oh, heartbroken. I don't look at it like that. I look at it and go, okay, what do I need to do differently next time? Because I'm just in the learning phase of making soap. Yeah. And I know, because I am who I am, I'm smart enough to be able to take my cutter and cut off the foam and the seashells, let the brick itself properly harden, put a new layer of foam on, and put new seashells on after I've cut it. I know I can do that. So where's the waste? All these bits are not going to go to waste. You see, I don't think like that. That's not how I think. What I think is what went right. And what I didn't know was that what I said to people who've got one of the original sea breezes, I said, you see the sand line in there? And they go, yeah. I said, be aware that it's exfoliating in there. So if you got something and you just, need to get rid of a bit of ink or something on your body, just rub that bit on it. Excuse me. Once a wish. So does that make sense to you? That it's just like, and people said, that is such a brilliant idea. What made you think to do that? I said, actually, I didn't do it intentionally. I wanted sand. And to make sand, I needed to put coffee grounds in there. And then when I went to use it, I went, it is perfect. And so now it'll go in all of my sea breezes because, you can't have sea breeze without the sand, right? Sand's got to be there. So what's the comments here? Thank you, Jody, blessing me. Jeannie's saying, a learning experience instead of a tragedy. What a wonderful difference. Yes. And because I'm patient, Jeannie, does that make sense? It's because I'm a patient. I mean, I'm not patient in lots of ways, but I don't see things as pass or fail. Now, I had a most magical discussion with Benji this week. He and I had quite a long chat. And he was telling me that what he always really appreciated learning from me was that after you've done an event or after you've done something, almost immediately say to yourself, how could I do that better? All right? So you understand, when I did the first wrapper like this, I went, oh, that's really nice. And then, how could I do it better? Well, hold on a second, you can't see the soap. That's how I could do it better, is put a hole in it. You understand? So now, the next day, I went back to square one, or no, back square two, and then put the hole in. Now, I haven't done it for these yet. But, it's all about, that's what keeps life interesting. It's like a recipe. All right? People keep practicing it until it's perfect, and then they write it down. Now, I never have done that, as you know. But, it's just like, I can understand that people write down recipes that work. For me, that's boring, but, I understand. How many of you know it may take a lifetime before I get this right? But I'm going, do they make black soap? And then I found out one of my food colorings is black. I probably would need a couple of buckets of it to get that deep black, but then I went make smaller soaps. So I'm thinking, what if I do this size soap? All right? Then it wouldn't take quite as much. By the way, these I wrapped two together, okay, like this. And then, of course, I will need to try one to find out when you use it, do you end up black and blue? Because if so, that won't work. I don't think so, because the soap will rub off the color. Shall we do a test on that, people? What do you think? What do you think? I'll get the black dye. You see, my attitude is let me find this out before I put half a bucket of black dye in there. So where's our little magic ball? That will do. Wet it. So we know this is good soap, the sort of soap that will go with the dye. Okay. All right, do I have any takers? How many of you think it will come off easily enough? And how many of you don't? So I'm going to put it on my hand. There we go. And this is straight without, oh yeah, makes a big mess. Fingerprint spinning. And now I'm going to even let it dry for a little while. And what you'll notice is that black turns green if you don't have enough of it. So I might be going back to the store and talk to them about their suggestion, but we'll do experiments. Black spot. It's also got a bit of a shimmer on it. Can you see that? Like a gold shimmer. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get it off. Straight off. Okay, so we know that the soap in it will remove it as it, as you're using it. It's the same thing. If I rub this onto white, some of the coloring will come off. Right? If you look very carefully, you can see a slight tinge of blue. But if you're using it like this with the soap and water, the soap and water will wash it away as it touches the skin. Does that make sense? So that's good. We can do this. I guess you all know what I'll be doing this week. But what we will do, Jody, remember the tiny little pictures that we started with? What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a very small mold that I can use. Ice cube tray, yes. Oh, wouldn't they be adorable for guest soaps, Kenyan guest soaps? So what I will do is I will start them in these. If I can get it right in here, small batch like this, then I will go to the squares, and if that works, then I will go to the big ones. And that, people, is how I learn things. Now, did any of you give thought to the fact that I am using a lot of ink to print the labels myself, the packaging myself? By the way, I'm using cardstock. And here's something I really want to smile about. I have an HP printer, and HP has an ink service. Instead of buying your ink every time you need it at some exorbitant amount, if you buy into the HP ink program, they will send you ink every time you need it for a set amount per month. I think I pay $15 a month. And I can use as much ink as I need for $15 a month. If I need one cartridge a month, or one cartridge every 6 months, or if I use 10 cartridges a month, it's still $15 a month. What they're interested in is how many pages did you print. So can you imagine that right now, I'm probably using up a lot of color that I wasn't using up before, but I'm using up a lot of color now. But I'm not going to pay any more for my ink, even though I'm going to go through it faster because I'm on this monthly ink plan. Is this making sense to you people? Did I explain that well? So if I need to use 6 cartridges a month, I would still pay $15 a month for the ink. I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty cost effective. So we've learned lots of things. We've learned a lot about packaging this week. We've learned a lot about legal stuff this week. We've learned a lot about just having fun this week. And most of all, yeah, like Jody's saying that's another win for cost effectiveness. I agree. Because I said to Yvonne, because Yvonne is my bookkeeper as well. I said, Yvonne, am I going to end up having to pay more because I'm using so much color? She said, nope, you keep printing it, honey. You're on a $15 a month and you can print up to 900 pages a month for that. And I went, and she said, and even if you go to the next level, it's still going to be worth it because you got a high-end product that you're using your own printer for. You don't have to go to a printer to get it done. And every time you want to change something, the ingredients or whatever, you haven't got to set it all up and go back to the printer and pay it all over again. So she said, you're doing it the right way. Oh, did you want to know how I do the rounds? I thought I was going to do them on my cutting machine, which I still could. But I found something else that was just as easy. Hold on. I just got a hole cutter. So it just, I print out the stuff and then I cut it out. It's a smaller one. But what I like about it is it has this thing at the bottom, which you can take out like this. It's there to protect the children. But now I can, let's presume that this is the decal. Like that. What I can do is I can slide this in and I go, okay, fine, I need that to come down a bit, so I can just trim a bit off this side. Okay. Now I can see it better, right? And then I can cut it. Very clever. And especially, at this stage, obviously, I'm at a stage where I am only going to be cutting a few at a time. As I said, this will make 5, I think. The other mold makes 9. Hang on a second. Yeah, this one makes 8. Hi, kids. Okay, kids. Okay, Kez is saying, and I quote, I saw online that you can get a mini thermal printer that does not need ink. I am going to, Jody, could we take a note, please? I'm going to have to look into that. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Um, so, all this technology is so wonderful, isn't it? But aren't I lucky that all the skills I learned making the Christmas villages and things, I'm still using some of those skills. So, and I definitely did like these little boxes. All right. There's something very cute about that little box as gift. So what I think I will do is when I go to sell them, I will do some with windows in them and some will be packaged like this. Because I think some people okay. All right. And I'm quoting Jody. How you did that in that time, I will never know, Jody, but never mind. And I quote, Jody is telling us there is no ribbon, no ink or toner involved with direct thermal printing. Instead, the printhead applies pressure and heat directly to the surface of the heat-sensitive thermal paper. I am going to have a look at that. Thanks, Kez. You see, what I love about doing these experiments um, is we all learn, all right? I mean, I was going, how am I going to send these soaps? Is it going to cost me a fortune? What surprised me was to send a box of soaps. I think the package was a little different that I sent it in, like this. I sent one pack off to Australia to Lauren for her birthday, and then I've sent another pack off to Jody for Lionel's birthday. Um, and what surprised me was that uh, huh, it cost about $14, I think, to send to Australia, which was pretty good considering, and only about 10, I think. Wait a minute. No, I got it right. Yeah, 9.36 to send to New Hampshire. So to me, that is expensive, but if I can send a small package of 6, that is worth it. You know what I mean? It's not worth it maybe for a single slice. The question is, will that fit into here? Yeah. These will have to have a bigger box and a bigger price. So, all learning moments. How much fun do you think I'm having? The same way as Jody, when you taste the first set of fries that you do in an air fryer and go, I don't believe that. They're not burned, they're not dried out. They are just fries. They taste like regular fries, and I bake them. How is that possible? When that first set of fries that taste like real fries, you are going to go, how did I ever eat all those fries with all that oil on them? Right? And the other thing is, Jody, yeah, really recommend taking a potato and actually slicing it this way. In other words, oval fries, and about eighth of an inch thick. Okay. And then throw those into a plastic bag with a spritz of oil and some salt and pepper and whatever seasoning you want. Shake it up and then put those flat in the bottom of your air fryer. Then, at the same time, you could fry an egg to put on top. But I want to tell you, I love them cut that way. I quite often do my fries that way instead of the regular way. The same as I cut it in half. And just put oil on the exposed side and around the side because it makes it crispy. And then I will bake 2 half-baked potatoes. Do you know what I mean? And you can choose whether to take the insides out and make twice-baked potatoes or just to have it as half a baked potato. It's like almost a big size roast potato. Really recommend it. Life with an air cooker is just different. I think, when you do your roasted vegetables, you're going to go, really? Seriously? All those sort of things. But be careful, because what used to take 20 minutes will take 10. Because you're heating up a very small space. Yeah, she's done chicken wings already, and she said they're crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside. Dust them with baking powder. Yeah. See, so you look at it and go, this is all learning. How excited have you been? How much energy have you and Lionel had playing with this thing? And that is my point. Jeannie, I know you were out walking more. Had to be. You had more reason. I know you will have laughed more this week because you got a new puppy. I know that Stella is loving you more than you've had for a while. And I know you can't wait to get her to the groomers and to the vet and to everybody else so that you can introduce her. And that will give you reason to do some baking and take it with you, because that gives you such joy. I thought about that, Jeannie, that it wasn't just that you lost Misty. It was you also lost the reason to go to the vet and to go to the groomer and that social aspect of having a puppy. And that must have been devastating for you. So good on you, girl. I'm so proud that you did this and you did it responsibly, and that you have had a good outcome. And when we look at these things, all right, when we look at our lives and go, the courage to try something new makes me proud. How many of you know this takes courage to try this? Right? It's not going to be easy, but life isn't easy. But can you imagine if I get it even halfway right? Now, it means I'm going to have a lot of patience, because I am definitely going to have each layer dry pretty much completely before I put the next layer. And then that tiny little bit of white's going to dry completely before I put the red. Now, that is not easy for Sal, as you know. She likes to take things out of the mold early. So, but if I want to do it, I need to do it right. So this may be a month before I come back to you on this one, or I'll bring you some of my attempts. But how many of you are looking forward to see whether it can be done? And don't you love Yvonne's idea that make the soap, shrink wrap it, and then just stick the total flag just on top, so that it's got the thing. But when you look at the sides of the soap, it'll be this. Or she said you could even, stick, if it's roughly this size, you could just stick this on. And the paper would, as you go to use it, the paper would come off. And I said, no, I think it's nice to have it on, actually going to work out how to cut it. Oh, we know how to cut it, so. Of course, you've got everything you need, haven't you? I just showed everybody that. Hang on, people. Oh, so excited. Can we get the smaller one? Just hold 1 second. I'm just going to work out how to do it. Once I've done it, then we know we're good to go. Yes, yes, yes. So we imagine it. One perfect tag and label. And you do know that even if I make the small ones, that when I make the small ones, we'll go to the next step. All right. We'll do that one step at a time. So please, for those of you who haven't done anything new for a little while, I know you don't have time. I know you don't have the money. I know you don't have whatever. But let me tell you something. Said to Yvonne yesterday. By the way, all my measurements were good. You know, we have to check my arms every month to make sure I'm not getting lymphedema. All my measurements are good. What I said to Jody's saying, "Pity you're not having fun, Zal." Yeah. But what I found interesting was that I said to Yvonne, you know, quite honestly, none of us knows whether we're going to be here next year. So I might as well enjoy doing this now while I can still see, while I can still, use my arthritis is bad, but not that bad. You know what I mean? It's like, let me do it now while I can, because a year from now, I may regret it. Oh, Jeannie, my pleasure. Jeannie's saying that she really appreciated my concern that she was not facing a scam. Jody, what I remembered when Jeannie was telling me about getting the puppy, I remembered, Lauren's experience, who twice got scammed, and said, please, if you're exchanging money, please make sure that you do this the right way because, of what happened to Lauren. And yeah, and the thing that Jeannie told me was that her dog's breeder was the one that introduced her to this other person. So there was a line of people that knew people. That is a whole different thing than some stranger saying, send me $500 and I'll bring the dog, which is what they did to Lauren twice. Except I think it was 800 or 600 or something, you know what I mean? And she did it twice, not once, twice. And Jeannie's saying no money was exchanged. And that is a perfect gift. So I'm happy for you, Jeannie. I'm happy for as long as you two have together, however long that may be. And again, enjoy every day. Jody, right? Take this air fryer and enjoy every day of it. All right. I have not regretted buying that however much trouble I had at the beginning. I do. Every day I use that thing. And every day I think how much money I save by not turning this one on. And all the time I'm finding new things to cook with it and how to cook with it and so forth, just through fun. And what I would say is enjoy it while you can. Jeannie's saying this little girl is on my bed looking at me. So I look at it and go, looking into her eyes lovingly. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. When are you going to play, Mum? You listen to that lady talk. Hi, Stella. Hi, honey. And I just want to remind you of one thing. It's about Yvonne. Yvonne is OCD, and I foolishly gave Yvonne um, one of the first soaps that I made, which was the one with the rosemary in it. All right, which smells so good. Anyway, I gave her one of these, and of course she started to use it. And the next thing is she thought she had bugs on her, and it's bits of rosemary, or it was bits of lavender or something. Anyway, so but the other thing was, whoever there was Beth that said, take one of those bars of soap and put it in a drawer. And that's why I'm going to make some of these high scented ones, these sort of lavender ones and so forth, for that reason. And I actually probably has an idea to make them this size. What do you think? What size would, because you don't want it overpowering, you just want a little bit. So this would be really nice size. By the way, from my experience, everything becomes a possible mold. It's like, oh, that would make a nice mold. I love, I love the heart shapes. I really do love those. And that was a muffin tin. I love that. That's definitely staying. Um, I didn't know that my red bread things would work so well, but they do. Except I've forgotten that I have to turn the loaf on the side to cut it. I wonder if I can cut them straight without, whether it's better. I'm going to do one more experiment while you're with me. I know I'm over time. Because there is one thought I have. And that is, will a proper cutter like this cut through it better? So let's see. Okay, so this cut through it perfectly, but I didn't have any shells on it. So let me try one with some shells on it. Ready? It's the shells that cause the problem. But I did it. Okay. See, the thing is, don't quit. Keep thinking. And that slab went through shells, and it's great. But also be more strategic about where I put the shells. Would be my next thing. So look at that. It works. And then we get to the end, and we want to cut the end off. And that, people, is how we learn. Two things. Number one, more strategic with the shells, and cut it with a straight blade. Don't cut it with the box. I'm happy. How about you? This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we even finished with something new. And look how exciting that was for me. I hope it was for you too. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, don't be stressed. Part of stress is boredom. Keep trying new things. Take on a new hobby. Be prepared to learn something. Jody, have fun with your air fryer. And Jeannie, have lots of fun with your puppy. And then Yvonne, it took me a week to get her to stop looking at the soap and enjoying the aroma. Actually take it to the shower and try it, Yvonne. There's plenty more where it came from, Yvonne. It's not the last piece of soap in your life. You're going to have choice for the rest of your life what soaps you want. So do me a favor, take that bar of soap, go use it. I need to know, how do you like it? Do you know the funny thing was? She said to me, I couldn't believe the difference. It was like made my skin feel so soft, and it was so foamy, and it was, I said, yep, that's what I tried to tell you. So now I sent home another bar of soap, this time for Wade. We'll find out how he reacts to it. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we can do this. And we'll see you hopefully on Friday if it's not too hot. We are expecting rain this week for 2 days. Yay! How wonderful is that? We'll see you later on in the week. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for your help, Jody and Jeannie. And I couldn't do it without you because I won't do it without you. Bye for now.